I'm Larry Fedoruk, and this is Later That Same Life. Later That Same Life is my second podcast series. My first, I Was 8, was recently named Outstanding Personal Series at the 4th Annual Canadian Podcast Awards. A special thanks to the Canadian Podcast Awards, all those who voted, and those who listened and supported I Was 8 during its run of 65 weeks. Of course, you can still find and enjoy I Was 8 wherever you get your podcasts and on my podcast YouTube channel. Now, on with Later That Same Life.
Season 2, Chapter 6, Curios, Collectibles, Knickknacks, and Junk.
I love curios and collectibles, knickknacks, trinkets, baubles, heirlooms, mementos, memorabilia, souvenirs, ephemera, whatnots, kitsch, tchotchke, objets d'art, junk. It's stuff that clutters coffee tables, fills cabinets and bookshelves, and eventually Rubbermaid bins at the back of the storage unit. I love it all. These are personal possessions that have no other function in my home or in my life other than to just be, to exist. Just sit there so I can see you when I'm passing by. Thank you. Before you start thinking that my home looks like some compact junk palace secondhand store, it doesn't. I think I have this obsession thing under control. I'm not a hoarder. Although I've always felt I have that potential, that if left unchecked, and by that I mean self-checked, they would find me in my home unconscious after 11-foot-high columns of newspapers collapsed on me while I was reaching for my collection of 300 spatulas. I'm not making fun of hoarders, believe me. Hoarders can often suffer from severe anxiety, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and other mental challenges. Their items give them comfort. An emotional value is assigned to them, a value that we cannot see, but they can. Sometimes the line between collector and hoarder is pretty thin. Why do we love our knickknacks and whatnots? Now, my Doctor of Psychology certificate got lost in the mail, I think, so I can't really call myself a doctor officially. However, latest research suggests that the part of the brain that stores and is able to call back memories may be the same part of the brain that integrates experience sensations, the retrosplenial cortex. Oh, yes, of course, the retrosplenial cortex. Why didn't you just say that in the first place? Oh, yes, the RSC. That thing. Really simply put, experience sensations are the smell of coffee, the feel of sandpaper, the color blue. They all might have an association for me or you, and they are in the part of the brain that stores memories. So objects are often tied to a memory, an emotion. It's the same part of the brain. It's easily recalled and integrated. That makes perfect sense. Say if in your parents' closet you find a box that contains a toy from your childhood. Boom! Many memories, many emotions. That's the brain functioning properly. When your brain gives special value to the 300 spatulas you bought since last Christmas, that is malfunction. There is a popular school of thought in the last 20 to 30 years that there is no such thing as a psychological disorder per se, only brain disease. Something's not going right up there. Now, for a lot of us, there is benefit to therapy, sitting down, talking things through. But today, a lot of science believes it's malfunctioning brain parts. Some of them can be medicated. Others need to be fixed. And because the brain is the brain, we can't just go in and make the adjustments, not like we do with hearts and kidneys. As the great Dr. Frederick Frankenstein once said,
"Hearts and kidneys are tinker toys. I'm talking about the central nervous system.
The central nervous system, spinal cord, and brain. If they were easy to fix, we'd do it. Well, sir, looks like a simple craniectomy with a cerebellum scraping, a temporal lobotomy with a cortex vacuuming. It's a day surgery. You'll be home by 5. Yeah, someday, maybe. Brain science is growing by leaps and bounds. Brain surgery, on the other hand, well, that's a little tougher. You know, it's not rocket science, but it's difficult. Hey, fun fact, did you know that the average human brain weighs about 3 pounds? That's it, 3 pounds. That's probably why zombies need to kill a lot of people. You know, it's 3 pounds. Oh. It's not a lot of food for a whole week, especially if you're active. You know, like the zombies with all the walking. Anyway, I do take the brain functions pretty seriously. Although I feel I could become a hoarder, it seems so far that my own personal brain is functioning closer to a so-called normal. Synapses are firing mostly as they should. Almost no dropped calls or garbled messages. I'm getting a good signal. My brain is constantly saying, "Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? How about now?" Let's just call me a collector, an art lover, whose tastes are in the area of curios, knickknacks, junk. I'm quite interested in this retrosplenial cortex. Well, not it specifically, but the idea that we associate objects with memories. And of course, not just objects. We have at least 5 senses, and even if only a few of them are functioning, we are constantly taking in the world around us, life as we live it. That's why we can be triggered by a smell, a sound, a touch, a taste, a sight. My friend Dan tells a great story about driving a convertible past some orange groves in Florida. It's a beautiful day, and to add to the experience, his favorite song comes on the radio, so he cranks it up and is enjoying the moments. So much so that he claims to this day, when he smells oranges, he thinks of that song. And when he hears that song, he swears he can smell oranges. Memories, associations. The good old retrosplenial cortex. So I think one of the reasons that I love all my objects is that they are real, tangible, concrete. They are there. They can just be right on that spot where I put them, and they can trip the memory whenever I give the retrosplenial cortex the go-ahead. You know, when I press that little arrow in my brain that means playback. I have a ceramic Elvis statue. It's about 2 feet tall. Half of that is his head. And the whole thing weighs about 30 pounds. He's singing and playing a guitar while a little ceramic hound dog is howling by his side. It's the worst. It's the best. I'm not even a big Elvis fan. I bought it years ago because it was kitschy. It was hilarious to me. I still have it. Not because I love it, but because I love the memory of buying it. A warm summer's day, driving my girlfriend back to the office after lunch. She looked like $1 million in this dress that I always loved, and I was thanking my lucky stars to be alive. And I had all the windows down, and her hair was blowing everywhere, which, come to think of it, she probably wasn't crazy about because she had to go right back to work. But then we saw the sidewalk full of ceramic art, and we had to park illegally and jaywalk through traffic just to get there. And I bought Elvis, and we laughed about it. She liked football, and I loved the way she smelled first thing in the morning. And we were perfect together. And then we broke up, but we got back together again and then broke up. And I wonder whatever happened to her or how she's doing because she's not on Facebook. Well, see what I mean? Now, I don't hit the playback button every time I see Elvis, but most times. And it's the brain. So everything I just said and more can happen in a split second. I have lots of objects, junk, that are just like that. Memories. That's how Elvis survived several purges. Not because he's beautiful or a priceless work of art, but because he holds that important memory. My home is not just a shrine to my past, a personal residential museum. It's also modern and functional. There's a table, a chair, fridge, a TV, etc. But with the help of these objects and some pictures, I include in my home the pleasures of wonderful memories. That's why it's home. The other reason I like objects, thingies, is just for the way they look. I have an appreciation of color and design. I have a collection of about 40 antique cameras, because I like the way old cameras look. That's really all there is to that. You may probably ask, why do you have 40? Why don't you just have one or two? Well, why people start collections is a whole other brain function, another cortex somewhere. But simply, it's a hobby, it's a pastime, takes your mind off things, reduces stress. It started when I wanted 2 or 3 for a mantle. Then I just started to see more and different ones, and I started buying them. I've bought almost all of these cameras at garage sales for $1 or $2. And by the way, that's part of the appeal of objects to me, the bargain. Maybe if I was a gazillionaire, I'd be spending 6 figures on John Lennon's piano or Kurt Cobain's guitar or Fabergé eggs. I don't know, but maybe not. I'm a big fan of picking up something cool, showing it to my friends, and then bragging of how I got it for $2. I do that with everything, really. Can't stop myself. Hey, gee, Larry, that's a great shirt. Hey, yeah, thanks. Old Navy, bargain bin, $5. Shut up. Don't tell them that part. Just say thank you. Can't do it. So I love the bargain, but I love the items. Love the garage sales and the flea markets. Value Village is my church. We have one commandment. Thou's junk is another thou's treasure. I've been to a few estate sales in my building, and that is where the association of objects to memory takes an interesting side road for me. These estate sales that I've been to, usually mom and her dad getting too old, grown kids organize the sale of their stuff. Everything out on display with a little price sticker on it. On one of the sales, the mom was there. I could tell she didn't want to part with any of it. Took her a lifetime to get all of this stuff. Now it had to be gone by the end of the day, and what didn't sell was off to Goodwill, and what Goodwill wouldn't take would be at the dumpster at the back of the building. A small yellow glass vase caught my eye. I picked it up, looked at the sticker at the bottom. It read $2. Suddenly, the mom was right beside me, and in a frail voice told me that when she was about 20, she and a bunch of girlfriends backpacked around Europe, and she saw this vase in a little shop and village in France, and had to have it, and carried it around Europe carefully for weeks until they got home. What do I say to that? Well, I'll give you $1.50. No, I gave her the $2, and I still have the vase, and I am now the guardian of that memory. I have a few small family heirlooms that are also like that. Items from mom and dad. I may have a memory association with the item, but also I am the caretaker of their memories associated with that item. It's an important job. Items, objects are often ranked by me by the associated memory. Here's a quick story. Even before Facebook, I met this woman online. She lived far away, so we would chat. That led to email exchange, chat, phone numbers, some phone chats. We decided for fun to send each other something. An item in your house that you love, but you could also part with. It can be anything. I sent her my favorite t-shirt. She sent me a tin of cinnamon Altoids, still shrink-wrapped, Our relationship never went anywhere, but I still have the Altoids. Because memory. And I tell this story because if you're going to be into objects and knickknacks and mementos and they're going to keep coming into your house, at some point you're going to have to move stuff or even throw stuff out. So in my next purge, the Altoids will probably go. After that, maybe the vase will find a new home. Elvis, however, will never leave the building. I have done many purges of my junk over the years because, you gotta, or else you're a hoarder. Memories fade or the importance of them changes. Retrosplenial cortex gets full, has to flush out some of the crap. I've held my own garage sales a couple of times. I remember at one, a customer said, "Wow, you've got the coolest junk." It was the best compliment I've ever received. Recently redid my home office entirely. Threw out a lot of stuff. Gave away like 300 books. Some stuff got put in a bin in storage. And while I was at it, some stuff came out of the bin and back up on the bookshelf. It's like pro sports. You sparkly whammo yo-yo. You're going down to the minors. But you, old-style desktop black rotary phone. You're my new starting center. Of course, it's a personal choice for everyone. Some of that stuff in the attic should probably stay in the attic. And some of that stuff in the garage should probably be in a landfill. It's up to you. Lucky for me, I'm also a fan of neat and tidy, so my knickknacks don't take over the house. I gotta admit, for a while, I thought Marie Kondo was my enemy. But I came to appreciate her talent for tidy. One of her rules for discarding is asking yourself if the item sparks joy. For me, with certain items, I ask if it sparks memory. And if so, it stays. The memory itself doesn't always have to be joyous, just important. We could go through almost every item on my bookshelf, my desk hutch, my living room, my kitchen, and even the items in storage, and I could share the story that goes with it. Lucky for you, I'm not going to do that. I've already shared a story of a few of the items. Some of my items have a great story. We were halfway up Everest when my Sherpa handed me that whistle. When I blew the whistle, Sir Edmund Hillary turned and said, "Damn you, Larry, you want to start an avalanche?" And then sure enough, anyway, others don't have a great story. Yeah, I found the rubber ball in the ditch coming home from the grocery store. I just purchased a loaf of bread and some fabric softener. I washed the ball off in the sink and put it on my desk. The thing is, they all have a story that somehow means something to me. And that story saves them from the garbage chute. At least for now. I think I inherited the junk gene. That's another reason that I love Curios, Knickknacks, etc. Also, I often wonder if it's just an easy and cool way to have stuff. Possessions. Do you really own anything, Larry? Yeah, this stuff. Can you imagine? No possessions? I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger, a brotherhood of man. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join me, and we can hit up a few garage sales.
Later That Same Life from Larry Fedoruk. Check out the Later That Same Life YouTube channel and Larry's previous storytelling podcast series, I Was 8. LarryFedoruk37 @gmail.com.